subscribe for the very latest. Play, Daddy.
I shall fear no man, just God. But it was God that gave me these bars.
My pen is the paintbrush, notepad the easel. Been painting with a twist before, sipping with my people. Stacking lines, equal sign, this verse is the prequel to the man you hear before you flowing through your speakers. Hempstead Nights, silky slim with the pearly whites. Earned a rep being smooth with the ladies. Plus could fight, kept the knife in his inside coat pocket. 22 strap on his ankle as another option. Protege of Chocolate Tay and OG from around the way. Used to run numbers and push yay. No Yeezy.
Sometimes, like, listen, when I talk about that voice, it's not necessarily like a voice. It sometimes can be circumstances and usually sometimes people.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, man, God was hitting me with the 285 route for a minute. Like nothing was clicking for a 2-year stretch. I'm like, bro, I think I'm about to, I kick it with a girl, just at the third, just don't work. All right, cool. Kick it with a girl, just don't work. You just like, man, you know what? Before Tino set up before we had that conversation in October of 2013, I was about to go back to just like, you know what? Because I was like, for a whole year, I was trying to be, be somebody, be serious, and it just wasn't working. I said, I'm gonna go back, just doing me, whatever that looks like. And then that long 3-4 hour conversation, I was like, I'm gonna entertain this, see what happens. But I was just like, there's no, you can't write this up, bro. Like, there's no way, because again, it was like at that point, like a 2-year stretch when I first met her at the Mexican restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
at the Ice Storm.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Ice Storm.
Ice Storm.
Wow.
I remember that.
That
I was like,
you wasn't supposed to go nowhere else but right there.
They was like, hey, it's her birthday. It was having, I think it was like at Frontier or somewhere. I was like, okay, cool. So I'm like, I said, man, it's like ice everywhere. Somehow I got there. So, but she was involved, and I was like, I'm just like, all right, cool. But in my head, I never thought in a million years this would be an option. Like 2 or 3 years later, I'm like, nah, this ain't. But life, sometimes God has a weird way of setting things up that it just, when he finally completes the plan, you just like, there's no way I can pull this off.
Exactly.
There's absolutely no way I could have thought this from A to Z in this fashion where it works out the way it works out.
Mm-hmm.
It just can't. It's just too many variables, too many things he's doing in the background that you just don't have the capacity to pull off. It just
exactly. And then you got people that say that they don't believe. I don't get it.
Everybody has their beliefs. But I know what it is on this side of things.
Exactly.
But yeah, hey man, like a great poet once said, man, everybody in these relationships, man, listen, don't go chasing waterfalls. Stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to.
Trent, one quick question.
What's up, man?
Now, when you were saying earlier about how when you let God be the one in control and you go through things in life, they usually tend to be smoother. Mm-hmm. But do you feel that God also pushes you through
yes
the roughest times? But
yes.
when you get through the rough times, the reward be A1 when you get through.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. Yes, that's very, 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 very true from my perspective. Very, very true.
You know what Fat Joe say?
What?
Fat Joe, hey, your darkest moments bring you the best clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that. That's the truth. That's a fact.
Very
That's
true.
a fact.
Yeah,
Mike
quick-
said the
Yeah.
same thing. Mike Tyson, he was like, because people was always referred to when he went to prison, his worst time in his career. He
Mhm.
said that was the time he had the most clarity.
Mhm.
Like
Because there's no noise. There's no
Very
noise.
true. Very true. So yeah, because because I can speak from my own perspective on that, man. I keep it a buck with y'all. Before my wife passed, it was hell, dude. It was pure D hell before she passed. Before I should say before she got sick, because her and I was like constantly. It's a time where this is right around the time from 2000 and because I went on a deployment. I was active duty, and I came back around 2015. And at that time, due to being in the military, I had to stay up there in North Carolina, because that's where I was stationed at. But my wife and my daughter, they moved to Georgia. The reason how they got to Georgia was because from a previous deployment, that was a rough time where I had to come back on emergency leave because they needed some help. So at the time, the first deployment, I came back, I moved them down to Georgia so they could have help. The second deployment coming up, this discussion came up to where, like, what would be the best place for them to live to get some assistance while I was gone. And then the idea was Georgia. And then the idea came up also, like, well, why don't we try to see about moving there? Because I was under the impression that I thought I could get down there. Well, it didn't turn out how I thought it would be. So they moved down. I was living in North Carolina for like from 2015 to 2017. And it was constant bumping heads, long distance, and my wife being down here, or being up there, and we traveling back and forth. It was a lot, dude. When I moved back even to Georgia to be with them, it was constant. We were bumping heads a lot, and it did not settle down to when we found out her diagnosis. And those 6 months that she had left, it started, we found each other, and we realized, who we were for each other. And she realized I was there, and I realized that I didn't want to be anywhere else but with her. And so it was that even though how troubling it was, I mean, or how much of a sad moment it was, but it was a peace at that time. But even after she passed, man, I didn't even know what to think of anything, man. So I just took life day by day. But eventually things started coming in place that I couldn't have planned anything exactly how to make of it. I didn't, like me running in the Tino, I didn't plan for that. Me getting back into music, I didn't plan for that either. I didn't plan for any of that stuff. But it just fell into place just without any type of like pressure or anything. I wasn't trying to do anything. I was just trying to take care of my daughter. But things just falling into place without me even like trying. And it was a different thing. Yeah, man. You will definitely you will go through some things also, but I believe that that's his way of also trying to help mold you and grow you to something better for a better purpose.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's crazy. Like, it just made me think about the situation with Tyrese. Like, I've been listening to a couple of his interviews, especially on the R&B money, and he, like, the first single he has put out is probably the most. I mean, you hear R&B songs from dudes, and they put out, like, they vulnerable, but this level of just pain is different. I think the name of the song, I Don't Think You Love Me. And basically he is detailing, if you watch either the Sway interview or the R&B Money interview he has done, it kind of gives you more context, but that that pain he was going through was, not necessarily for him, but sometimes it could be an illustration for other people, like using you as a tool. And sometimes, and he said this, and it's just like, dang, that's crazy. He's like, this is the best work I ever done. I just wish I never had to go through the experience to put this out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the dilemma of a writer,
right? He's
or any artist.
Right. He's I wish this album was done by somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Because he's like, man, it's a lot to unpack with him, because he's like, he's with a new girl, but he still has this bond with the wife, the way she left, that he's trying to still unpack, and it just shows up in his music. But he just like, I this again, the best stuff I done put out, like from front to back. I just wish I never had to go through those experiences to get here. But it just comes with the territory sometimes, where you know, like everybody said about Mary J. We don't want the happy Mary J. We want the broken down, just going through it Mary J.
Which is so foul.
It is. That girl done went through a lot.
But that 411 and that
my life. That's it right there. That's
I'm
it.
sorry.
Like, yeah, it's
them albums is classic.
But
man.
hey, after that, you still get to when she gets to the redemption. You know, she gets to the I'm fine. She gets to
Family Affair and all of them joints.
Yeah, like
Family Affair was nice too.
The whole thing. You appreciate the whole journey of
that's right.
And it's like I it's beautiful seeing things come.
Yeah, one of my favorite songs from her, man, is "Fathering You" off of Family Affair. That's a dope track.
Let me tell you, that My Life album got me through some things, man. That got me some things. But that's what happens when you're an artist and you're the vessel. That's the thing. Like, that's the thing when you are the vessel, and you, in order for those lyrics to come off that page in a way where it's going to help somebody else, you got to go through it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just what it is.